Good morning, sir. I am Sergeant Thweatt, First Squad Leader of 2nd Platoon. This is an unclassified information brief, briefing my route plan from the patrol base to the ORP for our Brago mission that was sent down by hire. Of course, our mission was to conduct movement to the ORP in order to conduct an ambush to destroy an enemy squad in order to prevent the enemy from influencing Bravo Company's decisive operation. So the purpose of this brief is to inform you of the primary route plan from 2nd Platoon's patrol base to the ORP. And so some of the things I'm going to get into are the factors that I considered when planning the route, as well as the route plan by leg and by movement technique, formation, enemy analysis, terrain analysis, a little bit of each. All of my resources that I use came from ATP 3-21.8 and FM 1-02.2, our military symbology. So some of the factors that I considered when I was planning this route is that the vegetation is very dense and river streams are full. It is summertime, so I wanted to minimize crossing the streams. And I also know that the dense vegetation provides good cover and concealment, especially against those 5.56 rounds. We know that there's enemy in the area. We had just finished conducting an ambush. That's why we were in a patrol base. So that's why I also took into account civil considerations. We don't know if the enemy has taken hostages of our allied civilians. So I wanted to minimize contact with the civilians in order to preserve ammo for the next mission. And of course, we're always using our proper terrain features, tips of streams, draws, and spurs. Those were my key attack points. I wanted to stay away from trails. Of course, those are linear danger areas, so we want to minimize that. And of course, maintain 360 security at all times. So from SP to CP6, that is our first section. Essentially, the point of this section is to get around the people to our southeast, directly southeast. We couldn't go that way, or I didn't want to go that way, because of course I said I wanted to minimize contact with civilians. So essentially, we're just going around a huge hill that's directly to our south. There's a river that we're going to have to cross. And then another one after CP4. There's one after CP1, and there's one after CP3, excuse me. But those are the only times I plan on crossing the stream. Once we get to CP6, it also functions as a rally point since it's on top of a hill, which means that it's very easily identifiable at night. So moving on to CP6 to CP11, point of this section is that to our north, once we're at CP6, to our northeast, excuse me, there's a high population of civilians. So I wanted to go around them by using the clearing to our east as a handrail. Of course, being careful not to reveal ourselves on the clearing. We want to be at least 50 meters off that. But we also don't want to make ourselves known to the civilians to our north because we don't know if the enemy is there. So enemy contact is possible, so we will be using traveling overwatch in our squad column fire team wedge, making sure that we're maintaining 360 security because we don't know if there's enemies to our south in the clearing. There's a populated area to our south as well. So we're going to have to be very careful when we move through there and establish 360 security at all times. So, moving from CP11 to our ORP finally, the premise of this leg, or this section, is to essentially use a military crest that's running alongside the mountain that our enemy is approaching off of. I recognize that we are in the clearing a little bit in the last leg, or the second to last leg. But the point of that is to use the military crest so that they do not know where we're going. And ideally, this would occur like at night, right? So they're not really expecting us to move well at night. And also, we see that this kind of jut at the bottom directly to our west of the RP is an effective rally point because it's easily identifiable at night. All they have to do is run down to west and run up or around the hill should anything bad go down. Sorry, this concludes my, the circles that I've put on the map here are all the places where the civilians are. Sir, this concludes my brief.